Anyone who has seen Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey will certainly remember the red eye of HAL 9000, the onboard computer, the incredibly intelligent onboard computer. This computer understands language, comprehends what others are saying, uses English very well in its case, even makes plans to defeat the humans who want to deactivate it, and wages an all-out battle just as a human would. In a word, HAL 9000 understands language and also the world around it. The question is, but is this situation possible? Is it possible for artificial intelligence to achieve understanding? I am Mario De Caro. I am a philosopher. I work on artificial intelligence, particularly the ethics of artificial intelligence, and this is no white strawberries. There are different types of understanding: linguistic understanding, emotional understanding, for example, when you grasp the mood of the people around you; aesthetic understanding, when you can appreciate and evaluate the value of works of art, just to give an example. HAL 9000 possesses all these types of intelligence, but is this scenario realistic? Is it realistic to think that AI could achieve true understanding? Well, as often happens, philosophers are divided into two groups: those who say it is certainly possible and those who say it is absolutely impossible, typical of experts in the most controversial fields. There are two main arguments put forward to claim that AI cannot understand. The first is, look, understanding requires consciousness, meaning I have to be conscious of what I understand, otherwise what kind of understanding is it? Machines are limited to manipulating symbols. There is no consciousness in the background that, so to speak, understands what they say, what they write, or what they read. Well, the champion of this thesis is, for example, John Searle. He says precisely artificial intelligence manipulates symbols, it doesn't understand meanings. Well, this is controversial though, because there are many authors, starting with Alan Turing, one of the founders of artificial intelligence, who say that what really matters is how you use the rules of language. If you use them correctly, that's enough to say that you understand the language. If we were to discover now that someone we care about is actually not made like us, doesn't have consciousness, but uses language perfectly, I think we would have a hard time saying they don't understand. They might not have consciousness, but they do have understanding because they use language well. Furthermore, there's a simple argument to suggest that perhaps understanding doesn't require consciousness. Children learn without being conscious of the fact that they are understanding words. Think of a small child who understands what, I don't know, table means. Well, they're not conscious. They don't have a developed consciousness. They simply learn. They understand without being aware of it. Even as adults, we sometimes understand things without even realizing it. So, consciousness does not seem to be a necessary condition for understanding. Another argument against the idea that artificial intelligences can understand is that it requires a biological body. This is a thesis defended, for example, in Italy by Maurizio Ferraris or Luciano Floridi. They say, how can a machine that doesn't have a body understand? I think this is an empirical question. We don't know, first of all, whether it's possible to build a machine with a body like ours that interacts with the world and learns by interacting with the world. For example, a robot that, by moving around a room with an instructor, learns to understand what table means, what chair means. More generally, there seems to be an argument that's a bit scientistic, or perhaps, let's say, even a bit chauvinistic in favor of human beings. There's an interesting thought experiment by Steven Pinker, a famous psychologist, who imagines a group of astronauts landing on an unknown planet and discovering entities that seem to understand language, that seem to comprehend the world and the situations around them. However, these astronauts say, obviously they don't really understand because they're not made like us. Imagine, the astronauts say, that these entities are made of carbon, of flesh. They're not made of silicon. They're not made of metal. It's impossible for them to understand. This is clearly a paradoxical way of highlighting the fact that we assume a priori that one must be made like us in order to understand. In truth, nothing can rule out the possibility that there already exist, somewhere in the universe, entities different from us that are capable of understanding. And nothing can a priori rule out that one day we might build machines that understand, even if they are made differently from how we are made. What truly matters is how linguistic symbols are actually used, and how one relates to the world around them. The discussion remains very lively. Naturally, this is a topic we must always return to, because technological advances provide new arguments for those who say, look, After this achievement, you can no longer claim that artificial intelligence does not understand. There are some very clear cases, say the defenders of artificial understanding, in which it is obvious that there is understanding. There are, as you know, robots used in Japan, for example, to accompany elderly people, which understand what people say, respond appropriately in conversation, and are even able to perceive the emotional state of the people in front of them. If the elderly person is tired, sad, cheerful, or bored, these machines are able to understand them. So they have emotional intelligence even though they themselves do not have emotions. In that case, it would seem to us that there is both linguistic and emotional understanding. I repeat, in my opinion, this is another argument for those who say, well, look, maybe artificial intelligence, understanding, not only could it have it in the future, but maybe it already has it now.